Plans are underway right now for a potentially massive military parade that's expected to take over D.C.'s streets on President Trump's 79th birthday.
The president's team has made the call to the mayor's office. The president wants a parade. Hearing that it will fall around the 250th anniversary of the armed forces as well as the commander-in-chief's birthday.
Well, I can celebrate the armed forces piece. The commander-in-chief birthday, I got the same birthday. I don't get a parade.
Herman Preston is a Vietnam War veteran and American Legion member.
I understand that the commander-in-chief is want to have a parade that to address what our military force look like. That parade comes from some other country. China does that parade. Korea does that parade, not us. We don't need to show our force of might. We know what we do.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the Midas Touch Network, and this Vietnam vet has it right. We don't do this in America. We don't hold military parades to celebrate our dear leader's birthday. I know they're going to try to pass it off as a celebration of the Army's birthday, but by now we all know exactly who Donald Trump is, and we know that when he's asking for a parade on his birthday, it's all about him. Never mind the fact that he had multiple opportunities to join the Army during a time of war and managed to dodge all of them, or that this parade, which no one in the military wants, could cost close to $100 million. Well, we've got an answer, because the week before Trump's birthday parade, there will be another march. A growing coalition of veterans groups is coming together to march on Washington on the 81st anniversary of D-Day. The symbolism could not be more appropriate, and the mission this time could not be more urgent. Our rallying cry is not just to answer the attacks on the VA and the benefits veterans were promised. We're marching for everyone whose rights are under attack. So, if you can get to Washington, D.C. on June 6th, join us. Whether you're a vet or a military family member or are simply willing and able to stand alongside us, I hope to see you there. I spoke with Will Addig, one of the organizers of this march, about the importance of that day and about what we're fighting for. Here's our conversation. Welcome to the Ken Harbaugh Show. I'm joined today by Will Addig, Executive Director of the Union Veterans Council at the AFL-CIO. Will, you've got some big news. The march is coming up. We've had a couple of false starts getting veterans to march for their rights, for democracy, for the Constitution. But tell us what's going down on June 6th, 2025, and why you picked that day.
Well, hey, thanks, Ken. I really appreciate being here first and foremost and having this platform to kind of deliver our message. And we know veterans has a powerful message and powerful voice, especially when it comes to standing up for America. We've already done it before. So we start to work together, put a bit of coalition together and start to plan the definitive veterans rally in Washington, D.C. to start this summer off. On June 6th, it's the anniversary of D-Day, but it's also June, which is the anniversary of the Bonus Army. For folks who don't know about the Bonus Army, that's one of the greatest socioeconomic moments in American history when it comes to protest and standing up for individual people who have been wronged by their government when it comes to benefits and promises. And we want to bring as many veterans as possible to Washington, D.C. to send a clear message that if you start to mess with our benefits, if you start to break the contract, that promise you made when you send us off to war, we're going to have something to say about it. And I'm really excited. It's going to be a big deal, I think. And I think that we're already seeing veterans from all over the country wanting to come and show up. So June 6th on the Mall, there's going to be some special guests we probably can't talk about just yet, but we'll be on again. But it's not about the guests so much. It's about the message and who we want to talk to. And the reality of it is Americans support veterans, right? We see the yellow stickers on the back of the cars. We see the support that veterans receive when it comes to benefits and all the programs that have been used to make sure that we succeed as a group. And everything that we fought for, everything that we have, we've had to fight for. Whether it's a bonus army fighting for just basic dignity that led to the GI Bill and the healthcare system that we have, to folks like myself and so many other VSO leaders that had to sleep on the Capitol steps when we saw the funding to the PACT Act, which is a monumental piece of legislation to help veterans with serious conditions from Iraq and Afghanistan and all generations receive benefits. And we had to fight to pass a bill that we knew was going to save tens of thousands of veterans' lives. I'm all for saving veterans' lives, and making sure that they have the ability to live the American dream they fought for. So when people want to cut that, I've got something to say about it, and I think that a larger group of the veterans community is going to have something very, very loud to say about it.
Well, that PACT Act is on the chopping block. The $23 billion that was promised to take care of those vets who are exposed to fumes from burn pits, it goes all the way back to Agent Orange. I think it bears repeating that the first word in the PACT Act, when you spell it out, is promise. That was a promise made to America's veterans by its government, an extension by the people that sent that generation to war. Actually, many generations, because it goes all the way back to Agent Orange. That was a promise made to take care of them when they came home, and it's being betrayed now by a Congress, by an administration that is not keeping its word. You've referred to the bonus army a couple times. I think the history geeks watching will know what you're talking about, and I would encourage everyone else to look it up because it's a fascinating story. But can you talk about what that World War I generation of veterans was facing and how they took their oaths literally, even after they left the service, and they continued to fight not just for their rights, but for the Constitution when they descended upon Washington?
Yeah, I think that there's going to be some history geeks that are really excited that the bonus army is being talked about today. It's something that gets kind of buried in history, and I think there's a reason why. One, because the people who kind of fought back and pushed back against the veterans fighting for the benefits were more on the conservative side, and they kind of feel embarrassed about sending tanks into the streets to clear veterans that were just protesting for benefits. And then at the same time,
literal cavalry charges through
cavalry
encamped veterans in
yeah.
DC.
So really, yeah. So and then also, where a lot of us I'd say on the more progressive side or on the left, where a lot of the knowledge that is in our groups and our movement is based off of people who were leaders in the 60s. So in the 60s, the main driving point was the anti-war protests, where a lot of veteran things, even if it was good and positive for socioeconomics, kind of got left behind. So the bonus army was in 1932, following World War I, where hundreds of thousands of Americans went off and fought. They came home and they faced massive problems that the health issues of fighting a war like World War I. There was a bill put in place to give them a bonus, to give funding to these veterans. And as the fallout, Herbert Hoover's fallout to the Great Depression, when they started to look for cuts, instead of looking at higher taxes on billionaires, they decided to start cutting benefits from veterans. And a group of veterans labeled themselves as the Bonus Army Expeditionary Force. They camped on the same damn steps that me and my fellow veterans did for the PACT Act. There's video pictures of veterans standing on the same steps that we had to stand on for the PACT Act, saying we want this bonus. Problem is, Congress decided not to pass the bill. And the veterans decided to stay. And that led to General MacArthur and General Patton, underneath the order of Herbert Hoover, brought in tanks, mounted cavalry, infantry units. Many veterans died in the outcome of this. The encampment where most of the veterans were staying, not just with themselves, but with their families, because they had nowhere else to go, was ransacked and charged by tanks and tear gas. And they set tens of thousands of veterans off who had been up here just trying to use their constitutional right to advocate their government.
Hey, it's Ken Harbaugh. Huge shout out to everyone who has supported this show via our Patreon page. If you want to weigh in with questions for upcoming guests or give us feedback on past guests or make sure you never miss an episode, click the link below. It's free to sign up. And if you're able to pitch in a few bucks a month, just know that we put every dollar back into the show. We do have another reporting trip to Ukraine coming up. Thanks for the help. The other symbolic thing about that day, of course, is D-Day. It's the 81st anniversary of D-Day, and I know you're building a broad-based coalition, but for my part, I think that the symbolism of pushing back against fascism and fighting for democracy could not be more on the nose. And also, this is a week before the parade that Donald Trump has insisted on in honor of his birthday, right? D-Day, June 6th, veterans are going to descend on Washington to stand up for their own rights and the promises that were made to them, but also to abide by their oaths to the Constitution and to stand up for democracy.
Yeah, I think it's a very important point, and probably one of the reasons why that day got picked. Um, I think there's three major aspects of our organization and the coalition, which is called the Unite for Veterans Coalition. And I want to make sure for folks though that you can go to uniteforveterans.org. It's the website where you can sign up to learn more about the event itself. But it's not just we're calling this the Unite for Veterans, Unite for America Bonus Army 2025 rally. And I think that's really important. Veterans are the vanguards. We are the people who are trusted messengers. We're the ones that kick in doors. We want to lead from the front. Sometimes leading from the front doesn't mean yelling and screaming. Sometimes it doesn't mean naming names. But it's cracking the ear. It's creating a story that can make it into people's living rooms. And the reality of it is there is a lot of fear and terror around the three issues that we have. First is the loss of veterans' jobs, loss of veterans' benefits, and defending the American ideas and values that we stood for. I think that's an important part of this. The idea of us getting to stand up on the National Mall and voice our opinion against politicians who are creating bad policies for us. That is what this is about. And we want to show the American people that we can do this. You can do this well. We can get into the streets. We can create the numbers that are needed to put the real pressure on folks to say, there's a lot of good people in this town that need to feel a little bit of support. They need to feel a little bit of backup. And we want to be that backup. We want to give people the opportunity to say, you know what, there's 150,000 veterans on the mall with a bunch of other Americans who are supporting them. Let's maybe actually fight for them. Let's maybe pass a bill that reinstates veterans who were hired because they were the most qualified for the job, because their military experience gave them so much education to fit straight into these federal jobs. And now they're being fired indiscriminately. Let's pass that bill. There's a bill right now in Congress that could help thousands of veterans who've been fired already, right, for no reason at all. Let's pass that bill. Let's make sure that we stop these massive guts to the VA. 83,000 people from the healthcare system and benefit system is going to crush us. I'm all for American tax-paying dollars, taxpayer dollars, to go towards the most important things. I'm also very much, in favor of a government that works for everybody. But there's systems in place. We don't have to have a million, lawsuits that are telling people they can't do stuff because they're crossing the Constitution, right? That's what's happening today. Every day a court case says that some part of the Constitution has been violated. And I don't think enough people are paying attention to that. So yes, I am very happy that it's on June 6th. I'm going to be very proud to celebrate the men and women who fought for our country in World War II, especially the men who stormed the beaches and were that cutting edge against fascism a long ways away from the streets of Washington, D.C. But today, I truly believe that all of us veterans who are willing to stand up for this cause and this fight, we're doing just as much for our country right now. Because we never take off the uniform. That oath never really leaves us, in my opinion. And I truly believe that these actions that we're going to take this summer are going to be just as important as some of the things we did in uniform, or more important.
Awesome. Well, we'll put all the links down below in the show notes. Thanks for joining us, and I will see you in D.C. on June 6th.
Definitely can. Looking forward to it, brother.
That was Will Addig, head of the Union Veterans Council. For any lawyers who are watching, I have a request. On May 1st, lawyers across the country will be reaffirming their oaths to the Constitution. I don't have to tell you why that matters now more than ever. Click the link below to find where you can join an in-person Reaffirm the Oath event near you. Thanks, everyone.